Thank you guys. Welcome to today's Yin practice. So as you can see, I have a bolster and block set up. So we are using a bolster and blocks. It's not for right away, it's for the first Yin pose. But if you want to go ahead and set it up, you can. I just have one block on its second height and then the bolster coming over it and then another block which we're going to use for our head. We're going to do another really funky pose today. Wait till you see this one. So today we are again working on very much inner thighs, outer legs, but also of course opening the upper body in our Yin postures. And let's come to standing to begin. Come up to your feet. I know, this is the hard part, coming to standing to begin. So begin by just feeling your feet in the mat right now. Connect, really connect with your body and space. Notice your feet in the mat, the weight distribution. And just see if you can even that out a little bit. Putting weight in the edges of your feet, maybe lifting your toes, just kind of playing around and placing your toes back on the mat. And then noticing how we tend to hold our body in space, right? Are we shifting our weight forward in our feet or back? Just taking a few breaths to check in with our posture without judgment. And that helps us as well to just arrive, right? Get into this head space, energy space for Yin. And I think you know what's coming next. We're gonna begin shaking the tree. So a light bounce on the heels, shaking the arms, allowing the energy to build. Shaking the tree, I think, is a pretty spring-like movement, I think. As the trees are all blossoming, I'm seeing the lilacs coming out, which are my favorite. I grew up in Newfoundland and we had lilacs in our backyard and I always love them. So I always go on the hunt for lilacs this time of year where they're not in someone's garden and I can pick some. So just keep bouncing, bouncing. And of course this movement also helps kind of shake off any dull, stuck energy, which is also really nice to start our Yin class so that when we come down to the mat, our energy is really grounded after kind of shaking off some of this funky energy in our body, maybe raising the hands overhead, feeling our body temperature increase here, and then coming to stillness and feeling all that good juju, tapping into that hum of energy around your legs, your arms, your fingertips. Inhale, let it go through the mouth. Let's do that again. Inhale through the nose and let it go through the mouth. Continue to feel that energy as it kind of just fades away. And now maybe place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And if there's any intention you'd like to set for today's practice, go ahead and do so. Often it's something that comes to mind right away. And if not, I'm going to offer the idea of play. So that we don't take anything too seriously today as we sometimes do as yogis, but just kind of play with the movement, explore, and enjoy our time together in this next hour. And blinking your eyes open if they're closed, making your way down to the mat. So we are setting up in tabletop over our bolster and block. And I'm going to show you, I'll demo what we're doing, and then we'll get into it. So we're first going to do a calf stretch and come into this movement. But when we get into the movement, all we're doing is bringing one leg out to the side, and we'll start with our right leg. And then we're kind of coming into a child's pose with the bolster. So what you'll want to do is draw the bolster in closer to your body so that this block is kind of under your chest, maybe like just at the base of your shoulders. And then we come down to the bolster for some support, and then our head rests here, okay? So that's what it's gonna look like, but let's all start in tabletop to begin. So we're in tabletop, feeling our hands on the mat, on the earth, grounded, knees roughly under hips. And now let's reach our right foot back, toes tucked. And take a few breaths just, and if it hurts your wrists at all, if your wrists are sensitive, you can come up onto your fists. That's what I do. You can tuck your right toes and stretch into that calf muscle. Enjoy a few breaths stretching into the calf. And you can kind of pulse the heel towards the wall away from you and back. Take a little bit of dynamic stretching here. Pulsing back and forth. And then begin to sweep that right foot out to the right side. Now it doesn't have to come right up by your hip. It could be further back. Okay, again, remembering to honor your edge in yin. And then scooching your left knee up alongside the bolster so that you're kind of in position to lower down onto your forearms, and you've got some support for your rib cage, your chest, and support for your head. And our forearms are just kind of soft on the mat, not taking too much weight in our shoulders. We could do this without the bolster, of course, but I don't want too much weight to be in our shoulders and arms here, so that's why we're using this support. Now this is, as you can tell, a fairly intense stretch, right? We're really feeling the inner thigh growing here, and we're not going to hold this too long, so do your best to settle into your breath pattern here. And again, not take it all too seriously. Adjusting that right leg as needed. And working into the inner thigh, we are accessing the meridian lines of the liver, also the kidney, but in spring, it's the liver organs, or organ and gallbladder organ that are associated with spring, which we've had our third spring, third fall spring here in the Vancouver area on the west coast. Boy, oh boy. Another few breaths. We're almost done here, guys. We're not holding it too long. Stay with it. This is our fiery yin pose of the day. Use your breath to keep it smooth and steady. And let's exit this posture now very mindfully. So placing some weight into the forearms to slowly and, as gracefully as you can, bring that leg back to tabletop. That was crazy, right? I know. Let's just shift our hips side to side. Wag out the hips a little bit. And then we're going to take it to the other side. You guys stay exactly where you are. I need to shift because I don't have enough space on the other side. You guys stay where you are. Okay? So we begin again with the calf stretch. So tucking the left toes, stretching out the calf on the left. Few breaths here, just breathing into the back of the calf. And then after the next inhale, exhale, and just kind of pulse the heel towards the back wall, bringing a little bit more of a dynamic movement to this stretch. Back and forth. All right, guys, are you ready? Promise this is the only really crazy one today. And now sweeping that leg out to the left. And if this is enough for you, staying like on your fists or hands up like this is perfectly fine. Leg can be further back, maybe towards the back corner of the wall a little bit more. You find that optimal edge, and as you need, adjust the bolster, maybe dragging it closer to your body so that part of the bolster is under the groin. And then pretending it's really comfortable by resting your forehead and imagining that this is a really soft and easy pose, but of course staying with our breath. And if this is too much, here low to the ground, honor where you are, come up. There's nothing at all ineffective about coming up to your fists. We're still feeling that inner thigh engaged in the stretch, right? This is a deep stretch. So this is a stretch for me here as well, just like this, okay? It really depends on sort of the openness of our inner thighs and hips as well. Maybe just connecting with that third eye point on the block and rocking the head a little left and right, perhaps distracting us from the next 10 to 15 seconds that we're here. Beautiful job, guys. And pressing into the forearms a little bit to come up and bringing that leg in behind again, coming back to tabletop and just kind of swaying out the hips once again. That's it. You did great. So we're going to use a block for the next posture or the bolster, whichever you prefer, but we don't need this setup, so you can kind of move this aside. And bring one of your blocks and just kind of place it towards the back of your mat, so that will set up for the next posture. So we're coming into shoelace, and we're going to do this slowly, get our body used to it. So bring your left knee under the midline of your body. So not out under your hip, but bring it in a little closer to the midline of your mat. And then lift your right leg back as we were extending for that calf stretch. And then sweep it in behind the left. So we're now in shoelace prep here. And just begin to move the hips back and forth. Once again, if needed, you can come up to fists. That feels better on your wrists. We're just going to take a few breaths, allowing the hips to adjust to this big stretch. Shoelace is big, and you guys are real pros at this. I see people do this in studios. It's not easy. So let's just really give our hips a moment to adjust, okay? Rocking back and forth. And then when you're ready, coming back and finding that block and using it for your seat. So you may have to squiggle around a little bit, find a good positioning. And then we're sitting on the block and knees are stacked, roughly, right? And then if you need extra support between the knees or under the knees, you have your bolster, or you could roll up a blanket or a sweater, place it between your knees, under. All right, so we're here in shoelace. And now we are really opening up as you're feeling through the outer hips, right hip, left hip. You may feel it more in one area. Every body's different. So just notice where you're feeling it and draw breath into those areas. And now we are going to do something with our arms here to kind of keep us interested. So reach your left hand out in front of your body, palm facing up. And then direct your fingertips down to the ground. We're doing a little bit of wrist stretching here. Take a hold of the front of your hand with your right hand and just some gentle pressure to draw the fingertips back towards your body. Now we're going to make it more interesting. Bring the thumb and pointer finger together. Sorry, no, we're not doing that. I'm confusing myself. Take a hold of the pointer finger, sorry. And now you're going to try to bring your thumb and middle finger together as you hold that pointer finger down to the ground. And then your ring finger and thumb. This also works the brain. And then your pinky and thumb. And then release the pointer finger, take your middle finger. And take your pointer and thumb together. And this gets tricky. And now fourth finger, ring finger and thumb. Feeling the stretch through the fingers, pinky and thumb. And now take the ring finger one more time. We're doing first finger, middle finger, pinky. How hard is that? And now take your pinky and do the first two fingers, middle, fourth. Nice. Shake it out. I know, doesn't that feel good in the fingers? We need that. And now bring your hand back up, fingers pointing down this time. Curl the fingertips in towards the palm of the hand. Take a hold of the front of the left hand and just again, gentle pressure, drawing those knuckles down towards the mat. Now feeling a nice stretch up through the forearm into the elbow. And for any of us on keyboards, raising my hand here, we sure get tight in these forearm muscles. A breath or two here. And release, and look at that. We've distracted ourselves so well from what's happening in our hips. And now we're going to slowly exit from this posture. Let's fill up low belly with breath. Fill up, exhale. As you exhale, begin to roll forward up onto your knees and your hands. Slide that right leg out from behind the left. Come back to tabletop. And just shimmy out those hips once again. Great job. And we take it to the other side. So now bringing the right knee just under midline of the body, stretching left leg long, and then sweeping left leg, left knee in behind the right so the legs are crossed, and begin shifting. I have conveniently found my bolster in front of my body, which is really nice because it has supported my hands for this rocking motion very beautifully, which I didn't think about, but it's quite nice. And just rocking back and forth, feeling out this side, right? How this side feels. And lots of hip opening in today's class. As we know, stuff gets stuck in the hips. And we're trying to encourage smooth flow of energy in this season of spring. And bringing the the block in behind your left leg. And then beginning to lower your seat down, finding your block, adjusting as you need. And taking the first minute or two to, adjust. You need to fix your seat, change your leg a little bit, and noticing how the stretch feels on this side as we are setting up here in shoelace. And then we bring in the arm movement. So bringing the right hand arm up at shoulder level, palm facing up. Begin to point those fingers down towards the mat. Use your left hand for a little bit of leverage to draw those fingertips back towards your body. Not forcing, just a little pressure. And then you can release. And then we take our first finger with the left hand and we do this finger motion again. So bringing thumb and middle finger together, thumb and ring finger, thumb and pinky, release, take the middle finger. This is very hard for me, this one. Thumb and, ooh, first finger, thumb and ring, thumb and pinky. You really notice where you're holding tension in your hands when you do this, right? Holding ring finger, now thumb and first finger, thumb and middle finger, thumb and pinky. I can barely get there, I don't know about you guys. And pinky is being held now, and we do thumb and index, thumb and middle finger. Oh, I can just, almost. Okay, thumb and ring finger, woo! Shake out the arm. And now arm back up, fingers pointing down this time with back of the hand facing the wall. Curl fingers in towards your palm. Take a hold of the back of your hand with your left hand and just gently guide the knuckles down towards the mat. Feeling lots of good stretch in those forearm muscles. Nice. You can even sort of rotate the knuckles to the left, to the right. See how that feels in the forearm. And release. Shake out the arm. Bring both hands just down alongside the body. Let that go. Another couple of breaths here on this side. Inhale, fill up belly, rib cage, chest. Exhale, begin to rock the body forward, coming onto hands, pushing up onto your knees, and then releasing that bind, sweeping that left leg out from under the right, coming back, and swinging the hips a little left and right. Okay, really good. We've got our last tabletop yin position. We're coming into a version of pigeon. We're gonna call it relaxed pigeon, okay? So from tabletop, lifting right knee up behind right wrist, as if you're going into pigeon, come down onto the right seat. So we're not staying upright and stretching out the hip flexors on the left side. Rather, you're shifting your weight onto your right seat. You feel the difference? So we're leaning onto the right seat, and you can come down then onto your right forearm, hands, left forearm. And from here, so the back foot on the left side, the back of the foot is on the mat or on the floor, not having tucked toes, and just kind of rock out. Can you swag a little? And I know you guys got swag. My kids would cringe if they heard me say that just now. They'd be like, Mom, they're gonna say, Mom, don't say those things. God, you sound so cringy. That's what they tell me. So there we are. But just kind of swagging that right hip and finding almost a little traction on the mat. You feeling that? Just kind of tractioning the right hip by leveraging with the left knee, just kind of pulsing the left knee and doing a little dynamic stretching in that right hip. And then when you feel like you're in a good place, settle in and come on down using the bolster for support for your head, or just resting down on your forearms and your arms and the backs of your hands. And now we're in our yin posture. So, you know, in yoga, again, we're playing here with poses, right? Just this notion of playing and not having to stick to the rules. Pigeon pose, our hips are squared off to the front wall, right? So we keep this dynamic of having both hips more or less shining forward, and we're opening up through the right hip, but also the left hip flexors. And here we're just relaxing the pose, but still enjoying lots of benefits, right? So we're obviously feeling a lot of stretch through the right hip, through the outer right leg, into the knee, and also compression into the belly. So as long as we're feeling appropriate sensation, we're doing a stretch right. You know, we don't have to always do it one specific way. If the intention is to feel some stress, stretch through the hip, and also enjoy and sink into the stretch, we're doing it right. You may notice some opening and stress in the back of the thigh and the hamstrings too. We're almost done. I really like this one. I could stay here for a while. I think it's also softer on the knee. For me it is. It's a little easier on the knee. Another few rounds of breath. And now tapping into that breath as you inhale, and really notice where it's going with this compression on your legs. So feel the breath enter through the nose. Now feel where it's filling up in the low belly, against the leg, maybe the rib cage, upper area of the chest, and then exhale, let that go. And now begin to push up slowly into the forearms and the hands. And we'll make our way into the other side. So coming back to tabletop. And just feeling for a moment, close eyes, come to tabletop, feel the energy around that hip. Let's enjoy and tap into that for just a moment. Allow that to soften, that sort of dull ache, warmth, allow it to soften. And then we're going to take it to the other side. You guys stay where you are. I am switching sides. So now bringing left knee up behind the left wrist. And as you would come down into pigeon with both hips forward, instead we're shifting down, and you may need to adjust the left knee onto the left side. So shifting down onto the left outer leg, left glute. And once again, coming to our forearms to begin, maybe interlacing your fingers. And just kind of rocking a little bit on that right hip. So top of the foot is somewhat on the mat. It's more likely that you have the right toe on the mat and the foot is just kind of angled up towards the sky. But using the right toe on the mat, and using that right knee to just kind of push into the hip. A little traction back and forth. Feeling out what's sticky in there, and then finding a spot that we will then, I will say bliss out into, but I'm not sure this is as much of a blissful pose as, say, reclined supported fish, that we will settle into. So find that comfortable edge, sustainable edge, and then maybe you fold down onto your hands, or bring the bolster, just tuck it in for your head. And here we are.
Notice where the breath is on this side. Notice if your mind has been wandering. It's natural for it to do so. Probably reminding you of what jobs you have today, what things you need to do after class. So just come back to giving yourself permission to be right here for the next half hour or so, the remainder of the class, and be with your breath. Feeling some compression through the left abdominals into the left thigh, and inner leg. You may be noticing some stretch in the hamstring on the left a little bit too, just a little bit on the outer edge of the hamstring. Coming back to sounds in your environment. Noticing if you're hearing cars move outside, maybe birds outside your window. Coming back to all those senses that help us stay in the moment. And on our next inhale, we're going to once again notice that line of breath as it travels in through the nose. Noticing it fill up into the chest and low belly, rib cage, and exhale. Let it go through the mouth if you need. And then beginning to push into the hands. And this time we'll just come to a seated rather than come back to tabletop. Just come with legs crossed or legs long. Close your eyes and notice. Notice all of that energy that we've stirred up in the lower body here so far today. The inner thighs, the outer thighs and hips, and in through the lower torso. Just notice all of that warmth, movement of chi. So good, such a good job, guys. And now we're gonna set up for a reclined supported fish. So sometimes I use the blocks for supported fish, one behind the head, one behind the back, right at the between the shoulder blades. But today we're going to use the bolster because we have it. And then use the blocks for support for our knees so we can come into goddess. So here we are with the bolster right at the back of our hips. So just draw that bolster in nice and close to the back body. And then begin to recline back on the bolster, feeling nicely supported here. Feels so nice. You may want some support for the head, a little prop for the head, but if you'd like to open that line of the throat, open up the throat chakra, and then it's useful to have just this sort of gentle bend in the cervical spine here and open through the throat chakra. So up to you if you'd like support for the head or not. And then bending knees and bringing them to goddess with the blocks under the knees so that we don't have to muscle into it here. So a much more supportive yin posture. And then our arms can be out at cactus and we can really enjoy some heart opening here, opening through the inner line of the shoulders, the biceps. So see how that feels in your body. Or maybe even extending the arms overhead, feeling more opening through the abdominal region. So again, just play here, right? Just because we've done this pose hundreds of times, and I know you have,
and we always do it maybe one way, explore today with maybe taking something slightly different. So maybe the arms are out at a T, or in cactus, or over the head. Or perhaps you'd like to have one hand on heart, one hand on belly. There's no wrong way, right? As yogis, we can be very serious about our foundations and the alignment of our bodies and postures. And in Yin, if we're feeling appropriate stress in the tissues, we are doing the posture just right. So if you're feeling some opening in the chest, maybe in the front line of the throat, the inner line of the legs, you're doing it right. And we can also here imagine the color green around the heart space for the heart chakra, anahata, heart chakra. Imagine that green glowing sphere filling up around the heart space, spilling out into our arms and maybe even down our torso. And if your head is on the bolster and you have a little bit of extension in that neck, you can also bring some awareness to the front of that neck now, the throat chakra, the Shuddha, and imagine the color blue all surrounding that front of the neck. Encouraging us and supporting us to speak with clear and loving communications, to speak our truth, our authentic voice. And we're going to hold this posture a little bit longer than some of our other ones. Really enjoy this opening in the front line of the body. If it doesn't feel supportive to have your knees open in this butterfly shape, of course you can extend them. Just have your legs long with the feet opening up softly. Awareness of the breath here. Where are you noticing your breath? Do you mostly notice it in the lower abdominals, mid-abdominals, maybe around the rib cage? Can you also notice it a little more subtly now as you breathe? Can you notice that subtle expansion against the bolster in the back body? Can you notice the ribs expanding side to side? Expanding outward with every inhale and then softening in towards each other again on the exhale. Maybe bringing a little smile to your face, sending signals to your brain that you're in a good place, that you're happy, that you're safe, supported, that all is well. We're almost done here. I
On your next inhale, filling up with breath. Nice and full. Feel that belly expand and push out slightly. And then on your exhale, if your arms are extended out in cactus or overhead, draw them back towards the sides of your body. And then slowly use your hands to bring the legs back, knees back up to the sky, feet planted on the mat. And then shift off to your left side or right side and just shimmy that bolster out of the way. Coming back onto your back body for a moment and noticing your body in space and on the mat without the props, without the bolster and the blocks. We were in that posture for over 5 minutes. So let's take a few breaths to appreciate the after effects of that supported fish goddess pose. And also allowing the tissues to rebound. You know, we spend all this time allowing the tissues to open up. So giving our bodies just a few breaths for the tissues to rebound again. And now when you're ready, drawing your knees into your chest, seeing how that low back is feeling today, and rolling out a little side to side with the knees, hugging them in, holding in front of the shins or behind the thighs, rolling out left and right, and seeing how your low back is feeling, finding a little spot that might need some playtime today, and just kind of taking a breath there, holding, breathing into that spot, and then pulsing the knees in towards the chest. Some dynamic movement to bring blood flow into that area. And if you feel like you need to sigh as you're doing this, go ahead and do so. Inhale, let it go through the mouth. We're also compressing the abdominal region. And so when we're compressing on the right side, we're compressing into the liver and gallbladder. And then go exploring again, see if there's another area that would like this self-massage. And finishing up here. When you're ready, bring both feet back down to the mat. We're going to come into a twist. So let's take a figure 4 twist today. So bring your hands down by the mat, palms facing down. Lift your right foot over the left knee. And keeping this shape with your ankle over that knee. Bringing your palms to face down for some support. And then beginning to lower the right foot down towards the left side. So bringing everything down to the left and keeping this shape. So we're in our figure 4 twist. And from here, before you settle into this specific shape, once again, maybe explore, play around a little bit, see where you might like the knee to be. Noticing that if you draw the knee away from your body, you feel a different stress in a different area than when you bring the knee close to the body. So when the knee is closer to the body, we're feeling it more in the glutes. And then as we draw the knee away, you can kind of feel it into the hip flexor somewhat. So finding where you'd like to land and settling in to a couple of minutes here. figure four twist opens up a little bit more in the outer line of the left or the right leg as well. Outer line of that upper leg. You can also take a hold of the right ankle with the left hand. I like to allow my knee to kind of sink away from me, towards the wall away from me, so I don't hold the ankle. But if you're bringing the knee closer to your body, it might feel nice to hold that right ankle. And as you're holding here, noticing if the shoulders are gripping, reminding them it's okay to relax. Are the eyes tense? Can you soften the face? Almost done on this side. Inhale. Feel that low belly really fill up with breath here. Exhale. Begin to soften that knee back over a more neutral line wherever you are. And then using the support of the hand to help press that left knee away from the floor and back to the sky. And then releasing the right foot off the left knee and noticing here. Before we quickly shift to the other side and get that other side done, let's just notice. And now lifting left foot off the mat, crossing left foot over the right knee, a little higher than the knee. And having the hands for support once again as you begin to lower the left foot down to the right, everything coming down to the right. And then seeing with this side where you'd like that knee to be. So explore, it's your practice, it's your time. And when you feel a place that you'd like to have this yin stress work on those tissues, then you find your stillness. Once again, seeing if the hands are tense or the shoulders. Reminding yourself to turn up the corners of your mouth. Smiling is yoga for the face.
exhale, begin to bring that right sole of the foot back to the mat, pressing into the right hand to lift the left knee back up, releasing left foot off of right, back to the mat. Noticing how that feels. And now bringing hands down by your side, palms facing down, knees bent still, feet on mat. Begin to arch your back away from the mat. Inhaling, arching back. Exhale, begin to press that low back towards the mat, rocking your pelvis. Again, inhaling, rocking pelvis forward, back arches, and now maybe also arching the neck as your eyes begin to look back. And then rolling through on your exhale, chin comes towards chest, low back towards the mat. I'm just finishing off with some somatic movement. Inhale, arching back, arching neck, hearing your head roll on the mat. And again, on your exhale, rolling chin down to chest and pushing low back into the mat. Again, arching back on the inhale, arching neck, looking back, coming back to center. And now extending the left leg long. And maybe bringing your arms a little bit wider with palms facing down. Inhale as you sweep the right knee across your body. Inhaling and allowing that back to slightly arch. Exhale, rolling back of the body back to the mat. Again, inhale, arching back as that right knee twists over the body, arching the back. And now allow your head to begin to look over the right arm. Exhale, rolling back through center. Inhale, knee comes across the left side of the body. As you inhale, back arches and you look out over that right arm. And exhale. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, knee crosses over, arching back, looking over right hand, feeling some stretch, and rolling back through center, hearing your head move too. A breath here, let it go. Switching legs, so first bending left knee, left foot plants on the mat, extending right leg long. And taking a moment here before we move. And now, inhale, beginning to sweep that left knee just slightly across the right line of the body, arching back. Exhale as you come back through center. And inhale, left knee comes over, twisting, arching back, and then very naturally allow that the head to look out over the left hand, rolling back through center. Inhale, arching back, knee twist, gaze naturally comes out over the left hand, back through center, 2 more times. Inhale, feeling that belly expand, arching back, head gazes over left arm, and back through center, and last time. inhale, knee crossing over the belly or over the leg, arching belly, looking out over the left hand, and hearing your head as you roll back through center. Nice. Just extend that left leg long now. Take an inhale and exhale. Just let any sighs, exhales roll through. Sometimes when we need to sigh like that, we feel we need to. It's a release from inner organs and specifically the liver, just kind of releasing, letting it go. And then softly bringing your hands down alongside your body, setting up for Savasana. Noticing your back body as you land here in Savasana. Feet are soft. Feeling your hands, maybe just noticing that slight hum of energy around your fingertips again as you bring your awareness to them. And feeling very supported through all the spots where your back body's meeting the mat. And then giving yourself full permission to enjoy the next couple of minutes in Savasana as I turn up the music and you can all enjoy a nice full experience of Savasana. Quiet mind, quiet body now, Savasana. Connected to breathe as I go.
Just very, very slowly coming back into your own space there, not making any movements just yet, rather taking stock, awareness of how you're feeling. Enjoying this sort of post-yoga bliss, spaciousness, glow. And then you can begin to make small movements, moving your hands, your feet, allowing the breath to deepen, maybe looking left and right. Waking up the body slowly. And then maybe, if it feels good, on an inhale, lifting arms overhead, interlacing fingers, turning them inside out and stretching along, pointing the toes away from you on that inhale. Nice and big body stretch. And then on an exhale, allowing that to soften as you roll onto your left side in fetal. And taking a moment here in fetal, giving our body just another breath or two to adjust, to coming back. And then in your own time, pressing into that right hand to help your body come up to a seat to close out class. Lovely. Bringing your hands together in prayer, maybe rubbing them together, and then nuzzling your thumbs in at your sternum, lifting your shoulders, rolling them down your back, long spine, crown reaching for the sky. Thank you for playing along today and for being in community here for yoga. It's a pleasure to teach you and guide you through class today. Have a beautiful day. Blessings and namaste.